There's a ton of noise out there. So how do you get decision makers to pay attention to your brand? Start a podcast and invite your ideal clients to be guests on your show. Learn more at sweetfishmedia.com.
You're listening to the B2B Growth Show, a podcast dedicated to helping B2B executives achieve explosive growth. Whether you're looking for techniques and strategies or tools and resources, you've come to the right place. I'm James Carberry.
And I'm Jonathan Green.
Let's get into the show. Welcome back to the B2B Growth Show. This episode is sponsored by Directive Consulting, the B2B search marketing agency. We are here today with Sam Melnick. He is the VP of Marketing at Allocadia. Sam, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, James.
I'm excited to chat with you, Sam. Before we dive into the topic today, we're going to be talking about planning, the importance of planning, how to plan. But before we dive in, I would love for listeners to understand a little bit of context around Allocadia. What are you and your team up to over there?
Yeah, awesome. So I'm Vice President of Marketing at Allocadia, as you mentioned, and Allocadia is a marketing performance management software. So that means we help marketers create their plans, manage their budgets and investments, and measure their results, stuff like ROI, so that, of course, they know what's working, what's not, and where they should spend those next dollars and how to create those plans. So that's the space we're in, and excited to talk to you about planning.
Yeah, I love it. So we were talking offline, and you said that kind of to tee this up, talking about it was Marketo's framework that they recently released at Marketo Summit, this plan, engage, and measure. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I was super pumped, and we were all super pumped to kind of see Marketo bring that framework out and start talking about marketing in this holistic way. Because at Allocadia, we talk about that in terms of really similar: plan, invest, execute or engage, and then measure. So plan, engage, measure is close to our heart. But why I think that's so important is a company like Marketo, who's a leader and has really helped build the marketing technology space, is now saying not only do we have to engage or execute, emails, events, advertising, but we also have to take that time and prioritize planning and measuring. And in particular, that planning portion, because as we're going to talk about, it all starts with the plan. So that planning portion, to add that in, I think it's a great thing for marketers.
I love it. And so you said that the plan really gives context to everything else. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you think about us as marketers, we sit there, and the average marketer, they're going to look at their list in the morning. They're going to say, hey, I got to get this email out. I got to plan this event. I got to go execute. And we're just continuing to drive for more, pipeline revenue, maybe leads, whatever that is. But without taking that step back and going back to what was our plans? Who were we trying to target? What were the goals we set? What are the things we want to measure? All that execution is kind of, how do you know if you're on the path or not if you don't have that clear and set plan?
Yeah, I got it. And you also mentioned that the plan really allows for true collaboration. Talk to us about what that means.
Yeah. So, again, marketing, whether you're, a 2-person team or whether you're a 100-person team, it's not one of these things where you can just go off in a silo. If you think about sales, often you've got that, hunter out there who's closing business, and they're able to bring a lot of value to the company. But there's not a great way to get leverage, if you know what I mean, in the sense of a great sales rep can do 150 to 200% of quota, but they're not going to do 500% consistently. With marketing, the more efficient you get, the more leverage you can get. We talked to a customer who went from a 4-to-1 marketing ROI, so dollars, they spend $1, get $4 of pipeline, to 9-to-1 in a very short, about a year. And that plan, making sure that everybody in marketing is focused on the right areas, focused on activities that are going to essentially roll up to what creates that leverage or business impact, is needed to get that leverage from marketing that you can't necessarily get from sales or customer success or whatever it is.
Today's growth story revolves around search engine marketing. Delphix, a big data platform, had hired an agency to manage their Google ads a few years ago, but they weren't seeing the results they wanted to see. Being such a technical B2B solution, they set out to find a team that could take on their challenge. After countless proposals, they found the perfect fit: Directive Consulting, the B2B search marketing agency. In just 1 week after launching Directive's campaigns, Delphix saw their lead volume double and their cost per lead drop by 60%. I have a hunch that Directive can get these kind of results for you too. So head over to directiveconsulting.com and request a totally free custom proposal. That's directiveconsulting.com. All right, let's get back to this interview. You mentioned that marketers just tend to fail to put in the time that it takes on the front end. Is that just because their tendency is just to dive right into the execution and they just kind of rush through the planning phase? Or do you see it more common that they just skip planning altogether and just jump right into executing what they think will work best?
Yeah, so I think that marketers are incredible. They have great intentions. They have the right idea behind this, but the challenge and I guess the issue is it's a rush to execution. We've all heard, and you'll probably nod your head and say, yeah, when I say, there's more pressure or more expectations on marketing in the CMO than there ever has been before. And a lot of that is to drive revenue for the business. And how do you drive revenue? Well, you get out there and you execute. So marketers are trying to drive more leads, send more emails, do more events. And to a certain extent, you hit a point of diminishing returns. And that's where the best marketers are doing. They're saying, actually, I can become more efficient. It's not just about, that mass quantity that I've produced. It's also about the efficiency in it. And that's where the plan comes in. So kind of to circle back on your question, I think it's not like marketers don't know what to do. It's more that they're jumping the step because there's such an urgency to prove that value and impact.
Got it. That makes sense. So the last thing, Sam, that I want to talk about with you is your framework for planning. How do you actually go about doing it? Can you walk us through your process for it?
Yeah, I can talk. So Allocadia are about like a 7-8 person marketing team. So we're going to take it on a little differently than a large marketing team. But one framework that I like to work with is, who are we talking to and what are we saying? So it's almost like a matrixed approach. If you can imagine, it's okay, we're going to focus on these type of people or these type of personas, these type of companies, and this is the type of product, I guess, or the portion of the product that we want to talk about. And then on the other side of, I guess, the matrix is going to be, all right, what are we talking about? So we'll have a thought leadership topic, we will have a seasonal topic, and then we'll have a specific revenue campaign topic that we're partnering with sales on. So it's this ability that the marketing team can then say, do I check off, let's say if you look at the matrix, if it's let's say a 3x3, so there's 9 boxes. Am I checking off 3 or 4 boxes in every marketing campaign or every activity project that I'm running? So they can at least say, yeah, this is attacking or supporting or whatever word you want to use, what we intend to do this quarter, this year, that whatnot. So that's one that we use in like a smaller team. Some of Allocadia's customers, multi-billion-dollar companies, whatnot, hundreds of marketers, they'll use the Serious Decisions campaign framework. And what that'll do is make sure the organization as a whole, if they're spending $50 million on marketing, they make sure that $50 million is going to the correct areas like demand generation versus a brand or awareness versus sales enablement versus market intelligence. And they've found a lot of success with Serious Decisions and similar analyst frameworks.
Sam, is there anything else kind of related to planning that you think listeners should understand before I let you go today?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's no such thing as a perfect plan. The goal of the plan is to put down your intentions. We talk about at Allocadia something called return on intent. Of course, we all want to measure ROI in the sense of the mathematical equation, results over investments. But I'd urge people to think about this idea of return on intent in the sense of set up your plan. I intend to do X. Even if I intend to spend money or put resources towards a certain objective, start there and track whether you're actually, I guess, delivering on that intent, because that's a great way to start your planning and your approach there and determine whether am I on the right path or am I not?
Love it. Sam, this has been fantastic. If somebody listening to this, they want to stay connected with you, they want to learn more about Allocadia, what's the best way for them to go about doing both of those?
Yeah. Thanks a lot for having me. This is a lot of fun. So I'd say follow me on Twitter at Sam Melnick, Melnick. I'm there. I'm active. And then if you want to learn more about Allocadia, just go to www.allocadia.com. Love to start a conversation with you or just say hello and nerd out on marketing.
I love it. Awesome, Sam. Well, thank you so much for your time today. This has been fantastic, so I really appreciate it. There are lots of ways to build a community, and we've chosen to build the B2B growth community through this podcast. But because of the way podcasts work, it's really hard to engage with our listeners. And without engagement, it's tough to build a great community. So here's what we've decided to do. We're organizing small dinners across the country with our listeners and guests. No sales pitches, no agenda, just great conversations with like-minded people. We'll talk business, we'll talk family, we'll talk goals and dreams. We'll build friendships. So if you'd like to be a part of a B2B growth dinner in a city near you, go to b2bgrowthdinners.com. That's b2bgrowthdinners.com. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.